whenever you don't speak like a language for, well, maybe you don't, but yeah, for me, I tend to get real rusty, and I still can speak Spanish, but problem is that it gets real like childish,
Yeah.
like a third grader. Yeah, like
Like a third grader, huh?
grammatically, it's pretty shit. Hmm. But
Are you more fluent in English then?
yes, sir.
That's what you're saying?
Yep. So what did you think of
Damn. So
like over?
you
Mhm.
can't even say that you speak two languages.
Yeah, I mean, give me like 2 weeks and I can. So it really just depends on how much I'm speaking Spanish. But it's like a muscle. I have to do speak slowly. Like basically when I was in Spain, like I was able to speak Spanish pretty well and get get communication across with everybody, which really helped when I got stuck there. So like I can get by, but being back and speaking English specifically, like I go back to like bad habits where I used to speak, and like grammatically it was really shit. But
Okay.
anyways, how did you like the mat?
Well, I think I told you, right? Like it definitely was well, wasn't a fully exciting one. I don't know how the EU one was, but the NA one definitely. I mean, you know the story, right? It's the same kind of expectation. And I think that's kind of the point of what you were trying to do with the form, right? Is that you're kind of trying to see like why aren't new people trying to get into PvP, or even the people who do play, why do they only play it as a side thing in Guild Wars 2 and not maybe consider trying to take a run for it, right? At least for some months.
Yeah. So I guess when talking about the survey, like what my thought process was is that I typically PvP in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I'll do some other stuff like PvE, world versus world whenever my guild is up to that. But because I do so much PvP, like I've been throughout the scene where it was really healthy at one point, and now viewing it and comparing it to how it used to be, it's become really much like a game mode that is, you get the dedicated few that are gonna play it. Aside from that, that doesn't really bring in new people as much. Where it used to,
Mhm.
bring in, like, there used to be guilds back in the day that were specifically built around PvP, and they had discords around them. Um, some of them they'd get memed on, whatever, but they had like hundreds of players. Absolute Legends was one of those guilds that was like that back in the day. There was discords that were pretty, healthy with people from the PvP scene that would be, just talking about PvP. Obviously, like the competitive banter would be there. Um, Teapot used to run tournaments, right, for the community because there was a decent amount of players. And additionally, some of the other stuff, that was around back then. But lately, like there is really no community except for maybe just a handful, like small little cliques here and there of players. So, I was just out of curiosity, like thinking from what I hear, people are always telling me, well, I don't want a PvP because of like the toxicity, right? Of the community where you go in and you play and then, people are screaming at you or whatever through chat. But I feel like it's more than that. Um, so that's where like the survey came in, right?
Mhm.
So um before the survey, like my thought was, well, there's got to be something that brings players in. And that could be like prizing, because even for me as like a PvPer, um it really there's really not an incentive other than having fun, which is like one of the things about PvP that, I enjoy. But um like it there's like, aside from having fun and being casual, because I used to not be as casual, right? But being casual now, I feel like you could bring more people in to actually play the game a little bit more seriously if there was some rewards behind it. Um,
Mhm.
And so my thought was, okay, what kind of rewards can there be to offer, right? What can bring players in that they're going to actually want to participate, you know, for an extended period of time. And like for you, right? I could ask you, why don't you PvP?
Yeah, I mean, I you remember that I used to the laggy sound. That's because it's my Discord. It's chat. I can't do anything about it. Um, so I used to PvP quite a lot the start of the game, right? I think up until 2015, I had what you consider, I guess, a decent amount of matches. I had maybe close to 2,000. No, maybe not 2,000. Yeah, maybe 1,500 matches, right? Which I guess for those first 3 years is not bad ish, right? Obviously, it wasn't also my main thing. I was mostly a world versus world player. Um, and honestly, I could have probably stayed in playing PvP. I could have just been a bit more consistent. Because I wasn't playing religiously just that game mode. I was playing PvP as like let me play 2-3 games a day if I'm kind of like I got nothing going on. So I did play, yeah, quite a few games. Some days all I did was PvP, if I felt like it. Um, Now I don't play because I think it's because of that gap, right? I actually there's a lot of years where I played one match, or I played 2 matches or 3 matches, and by then it's the amount of knowledge to have on the reaction times, uh the coordination of like just the fight coordination in matches. It's even if you're just kind of queuing and you're not really playing with someone, I kind of tend to take that stuff seriously, right? So but I don't commit the time because I don't have the time frame to spend like 20 hours a week just playing PvP anymore. So to me, I don't play because of that, right? It's like I don't feel like I have the capacity to play a game mode that I know I want to get to somewhere, and it's just impossible for me because I don't have the time to commit to something like that, right? So yeah, to me it's more about like I don't find it fun if I'm playing a few matches and I'm going nowhere with it. And the fact that, yeah, if I really want to enjoy the game mode, I do want to spend some time actually reacting and finding out what makes every class tick and the exact counters in PvP. And this guy counters this and this class counters that. And if you're in this team fight, you need to know, okay, yeah, you can move from here, right? All those reaction times. So, yeah, I find that I hate it when I don't know that information. For me personally, yeah.
Would there be like
And it is a lot to
anything?
catch up on.
I mean, would there be anything that it doesn't matter about like the skill level? What if they were offering you specifically like exclusive PvP rewards that maybe were cosmetics or something?
I mean, that would probably motivate me to go for it. Sure. I mean, kind of right now, the plat thing is something I wanted, but I mean, remember when we were going for plat, right? It's for me, it was really more about the number of matches we played, right? We just never played enough matches that, like, we got. I think the highest was gold 3. So I think the first time we did the kind of like season meme about like road to plat. So I mean that's not a cosmetic, but that's an accomplishment and almost similar in the fact that you're looking for something, a reward.
Yeah.
Um, so it for me it kind of tends to have those factors, right? I get annoyingly competitive, and I'm at the point where
That's
I'm
true.
more frustrated that I don't have the time to really play competitively because to play competitively you gotta actually play. You can't just play 2 games and be like, yeah, I'm gonna win 20 games in a row when you barely play 20 games in a row a week or something, right? So yeah, that kind of that factor for me is the thing. There's a lot to catch up on, and it's just no way you can make up the difference. I'm not trying to go for top 1 in PvP or top 10 or top 20, but you kind of need to play enough to play well to eventually get some of these things, right? The plot, I mean, it's also a numbers game with the matches. We barely played 40 matches. Um, and so like, yeah, I mean, if we were lucky, maybe in those 40 matches we could have gotten it, but at the same time, it was a bit of a 50-50, right? Second season we did worse. It was gold 2, and we played even fewer matches than that. Season 3, we kind of played. We played like 7 matches and then just never played again. So yeah, numbers game, and at the same time, the commitment, right? I think for me, that's where it comes down to. And I'm sure maybe some other people feel similarly. In your form, maybe some people also, it's more of like, man, I have to put so many hours to even just be slightly decent to compete with players who are like over decent, right? Or above average.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you that, that's kind of like, but that's the thing too. That's kind of an assumptive like premise where you can actually get better a lot faster, and I could definitely share that with people, and that's through dueling. Like, and it does require a little bit of effort. There used to be duel rooms back in the day, which is why you'd see like a lot of the like veteran players from back in the day have a little bit more of like experiences because they would just do 1v1s all the time in the PvP arena, and it made like a huge difference for players. But I mean, let's just read some of this, right? Like the first comment was, as a day one player who's done a good amount of casual PvP throughout the years, it desperately needs more players and better matchmaking. I'd say I'm below average. Despite this, I get matched up against players who have thousands of hours and only single-handedly get stomped the entire match. There is nothing less fun than dying the second you leave the starting area because they are camping. Experienced players need to be matched against equal skills, so my friends that I've convinced to join me for PvP dailies would walk away with negatives reviews because of this. That's a big issue for PvP in World v World. No casual encounters. Let's see. PvP Enjoyer crafted
Mm.
Ascension. Yeah, of course, Ascension. That was a big one too. Back in the day was Ascension, the legendary back piece, which actually was why Kara and I got back into PvP, was crafting that
Mm-hmm.
because of the cosmetic back then. Um, let's see. No new maps for a long time. Broken maps. Many maps are broken. Like Battle of Kylo, the Treb is useless, which is true. Capricorn, the objectives are too strong. You basically ignore the points and just do this and win the game. That is true as well. That's the map where you get the bell in the middle. And then if you keep getting the bell, you keep getting more points. So even if you're losing the match, that bell can switch everything. And I've seen players that just have a better comp for that one bell end up winning, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Using WoW as an example, so to fix SPVP, we need new maps. Fix the ones that are broken. Create more variety game mode. They already have Stronghold. To be honest, that's never played, but this is all too big of a fix for them. This is borderline an expansion's worth of content for them now, which they'll never do. It was yeah. So like Stronghold was good, a good concept, but really poor execution. Um, I don't even think. Have you ever touched Stronghold, MM?
Yeah, I remember Stronghold. Yeah, I played it when it was out. I mean, the thing is, I know it didn't release in the best of time. When it came out, it was just a lot they didn't fix, and I think a game mode like Stronghold now would be a breath of fresh air. It was different, I would say. Like the champion kind of could tip the game a little bit if you didn't if you ignored it, right? But let me ask you this: where do you think was the issue in Stronghold? Why do you think it didn't work out when it first released? In your opinion?
Well, I think it's kind of reminds me of Smite, and the thing is, the game is too fast for it. The lords maybe are too weak. The objectives are not strong enough to flip the overall like the game itself. So, you basically what you get is people just zerging the lord and killing the lord the fastest, which is and honestly it's a lot faster to do a stronghold match, which was in my opinion supposed to be a more extended like game mode like League of Legends where it's like 45 minutes per game, but it ended up being like 3 minutes per game in some instances because you just got to kill the lord. That's it. And when you get really
Hmm.
five good players, those lords die instantly. You know,
Yeah.
Like when I played Stronghold, you did one thing. You just got door bombers, right? You bombed their doors as soon as possible. You would kill people so they couldn't get the supplies, and then
And then you stormed immediately.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Let's see.
the way, I mean, the way, I mean, that you could have stalled that, right, is that obviously it's the supply is in the middle, right? If you take too long, um, and if the other team has someone just kind of not camping, but in the area of like the walkway where they walk around the champions. Um, but yeah, like once at least if you wipe 2 or 3 members of the team, then it's just literally like you said, go with the bombers, get the door done. Even if your team kind of wipes a little bit, at least you basically have opened their door at that point, and then second run, if the team Zerg tries to Zerg the other team one more time, yeah, then they just go in. Um, do you think a game mode like that could still work though? Right? Um, what would they have to change? Right? I don't think they would want to buff the bosses where it just becomes a literally back and forth game, right? Because that is basically a very much a back and forth thing. Um, and the timer will run out eventually, right? The game can't go on forever.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I honestly like Conquest. I think Conquest there doesn't need to be multiple game modes. Like keep Conquest the thing because it's been a game mode that honestly for me as like a player who's done it for so long, I still enjoy the whole Conquest idea. Um yeah, maybe add more maps around that, like the Conquest game mode because it works for Guild Wars 2. I don't think this whole Smite kind of style of, you know, gameplay works for Guild Wars 2 as much because they would have to revamp it. They would have to basically kind of take like a league approach where you start out with like at level 1 and then you work your way up to level 80 unlocking your skills, right? And then from there you can actually play the game and work on your build. You have to work on your build in the game, right? Like if they could do something like that, but I doubt they have the ability to.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. Um, to cut you off a little bit on and move into something because I see on your stream you're looking at that Reddit post. I remember that Reddit post like from like a week ago. Um, and some of this actually is something that I'm sure in your form because I know you picked very specific questions because you want to keep it as specific as possible without too much emphasis. But a lot of those questions feel like questions you would have probably gotten on the form as well if you decided to open it up to full descriptions.
Yeah, I mean, could have. Yeah, I'll do that in a second. This one was just funny. Somebody wants PvP Dragons Derby, like using Sky Scales and War Claws, using War Claws only. Um, I mean, the community itself, as I mentioned earlier too, like people don't like when they're getting yelled at by others. Like they hate the toxicity. Um, let's see, just going through map rebalancing, better maps, better game modes. So like, yeah, if we go to the survey itself, which did get 99 responses, I did not expect it to get so many responses. But just to go through the questions, like it was basically I asked how long have you been playing, like what is the current level of involvement in PvP? If you've never participated, why? Or how could Guild Wars 2 PvP be more appealing? What factors would make you more likely to PvP? What kind of support or resources would encourage you to engage in more PvP? I probably should have asked like why haven't you ever PvP'd before? You know, what's the roadblock? But it
Mm-hmm.
seems like to be the same common theme where people don't like getting stomped, and also they don't like toxicity. So let's see. Interesting. So if we go through this, 93% of players have been playing for more than 2 years. 1% was less than 3 months. 2% was 6 to 12 months, and then 3% is 1 to 2 years. So we have like a lot of veteran players. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Current involvement in PvP. 58% actively participate in PvP. 22. Oh my god, dude, what is happening? Uh,
GG's.
5% has actually never participated. 14% has tried it a few times, and then 22% has occasionally participated in PvP. All right, so the responses. If you could make Guild Wars 2 PvP more appealing. Nerf Ranger and Dragon Hunter. Okay. I feel like someone's very like they have an issue with these two classes apparently. Like they have a vendetta against them.
I mean, yeah.
More rewards if it had a reputation of being good time and provided rewards. It could not. It could never be more appealing to this person, by the way. New map, better balance, better rewards for rank. Somehow make rank system better, so we will see less normal game mode players in ranked. 10v10 guild arena that is queuable.
I honestly don't think there's enough amount of people to do that, but yeah.
What if they created it?
Well, the
like
thing is, you
remember
kind of
that
have that
movie
now
where
with the guild.
if you build it, they will come. So like if they build it, do you think more people would actually play the game?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's the thing of this, right? Like,
MM doesn't
obviously,
need
the game
nerfs.
mode is where it is because of the lack of actual involvement in it, right? From the company, right? It's just that what it is. Unfortunately, PvP and most MMOs always ends up like this. Either things like that, or just if there is, it's just not enough effort. So yeah, like you said, build it and they will come. They kind of did that with the GVG arena recently. I mean, so you could say that the arena's there. As I was going to say, the guild hall, and now you have world versus world stats as well. Finally, and you can also play around the guild hall. Um, go specifically to PvP. Um, I think it first needs to go into the 5v5, right? Fix that before you go into the 10v10. I see add that back the daily win or lose, play one round achievement, even without trying to select PvP specifically.
That'd be cool. Yeah, they should bring that back instead of daily wins. I mean, they kind of have it for the weekly, I think, if you just like if you participate in 10 matches, but it kind of can be demoralizing if like you lose 10 matches in a row. It cannot.
Yeah.
PvP is toxic, which okay, so there's two people that are literally saying like it just can't. There's nothing that will get them in. Rewards, better matchmaking based on skill level, understanding of the game, more player population, so the game isn't the same 100 people. See this right here, to me, this is something that will be fixed if the foundation of the game mode is fixed. More people will come if the game is like more matchmaking would be better if there's more players, right? But how do you get more players? You got to bring them in. You got to incentivize them. Less toxicity.
That's the thing, right?
Even non-PvP players hear about it. Make it less reliant on dodging. That's an interesting take.
Honestly,
that's interesting.
That's so yeah. I mean, basically, make it less skillful. I don't know. That's a honestly the thing is with like less toxic and stuff, right? It's like it can always be MM will say less mesmers. Honestly, just delete the class. Why do we even have that in PvP?
That's okay. Delete mesmers. All right. If I see that in here, I know you typed it in.
Yeah. Like seriously, why does that class exist? Anyway, I think with the thing of like, it's always that one player bad experience. You could have like 3-4 good matches in their own PvP, and then your fourth match or fifth match will have a bad player. And again, it's always like you'll remember the negative experience than the actual good times that you had out of it, right? It can be that one thing that makes you be like, you know what, I don't want to play this. Like,
bro,
what the hell was this match?
Echo legitimately called it out that you were gonna say less mesmers, and you said less mesmers.
I'm literally looking at your chat right now.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, but I would have said that anyway.
Oh, of course you would have. I mean, let's see. What factors would make you more likely to participate? Okay, there's a lot of random answers in the bottom. But I guess the biggest one, okay, this isn't even the biggest. The biggest is more balance and fair matchmaking, regular updates, and events specific to PvP, which is interesting to get this one here. 67, 68. Achievements and recognition like titles, leaderboards, PvP exclusive gear or cosmetics, right? this is my biggest thing. I think it would bring me into playing it more, which would be um, like a little bit. I'd enjoy it more, feel more fulfilled if it was like, okay, what if I got like a armor piece top, that had like a plat badge on it, or even like Call of Duty does something where their ranked game modes, like you get an outfit skin and it's just like a basic T-shirt that says like ranked or something, and it has like the rank that you finished at. What if they gave like a ranked, how they have like that metal band T-shirt, the one for
Ah,
like the
yes,
char.
yes, yeah.
What if they put like your emblem on there, bro? It's just, I don't know. It doesn't have to be like super creative, but I think that in itself, like I'd wear it, right? Because it shows like, some sort of value to me at least. Me getting better at the game would bring this person back in. Um, Game mode solo queue ranked duo nothing. Okay, one person said nothing. Larger player base, better matchmaking. I see a lot of people want like the 2v2s and the 3v3 game modes to be like permanent. And I think that's a valid point. Solo queue kick.
I
Oh
agree
my
with that.
god.
I like that they mix it up. And in hindsight, things of like PvP being interchangeable in the season, um, like that makes sense when you do have the population for it. But oh my god, this guy that you just put all the problems in one answer.
I feel like a therapy session, dude. Kick AFKers, stop putting me a silver into games with plats. Give me a rank 1v1 mode to play while I find it more balanced than 5v5 match. Unranked should be a 3v3. Need a match replay mode for last. 1-3 game viewing modes for top rated games so I can watch somebody else. 2. Better learn a specific tactic movement. Better explanation upon death of what actually killed me. I feel like this guy didn't see like what actually kills him. Like there is the ability to see that. Especially with
Yeah, I
Condi.
mean, literally just switch it on the literally in the chat. It'll tell you what killed you.
Yeah, you just click the button that says what kills me, but maybe people don't actually know that button exists.
I mean, when you die, yeah, you could also do that when you die. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like even after you could still go on the chat to see like what hit you. There's a combat log.
Feel like the currency for legendary should be from PvP should be on the shouldn't be on the trading post. Okay. New main mode. Conquest is old and boring. Ban toxic players. Okay, that's just yeah. Better gold and mat earnings, better rewards overall, gold mats, literally just game balance. Fire that okay. Low quality points, low qualifying points. Let's see. 2v2 standard mode, class balancing. Less drastic differences in pips gained between winning and losing. Okay, that's actually valid. I agree. You shouldn't get less pips for losing, or even like you shouldn't get like half the amount. It just makes it so much more annoying. Detection from, let's see, automatic detection for at least some AFKers. I once had a team from start leaving, never spawn, repeat AFKers. Not a damn thing. Skill redesign, a fun game mode, more maps, init rewards. New experimental game modes. That does sound fun. Reduce toxicity. I'm feeling a common theme of like removing toxic players. Okay, so I do have some solutions for this stuff right here. Guides and tutorials for PvP strategies, more accessible entry PvP content, community events or tournaments. Teaching one-on-one. See, I could do that. I could do like a classroom.
Community events or tournaments. I mean, how many? I mean, there's a lot of content creators who create. I mean, T-Bot, himself, like has done the biggest ones you can do, right? And then there were some on the smaller side, more for. There was a PvP Discord, and this isn't a unique concept. Multiple Discords for community run tournaments have been done from a beginner to an intermediate scale. It's, but I don't know if it was too late to do it or this was maybe needed to have been an initiative that came directly from Guild Wars 2, right? And not someone had to do it themselves. Um, how do you even organize that? I mean, when players organize things, it's just more of getting the news out there, right? A lot of people just don't know that sometimes some communities exist for stuff like this. L raiding took a while for people to realize that you could just go on a Discord, um, and go to one of the 3 academies to learn.
Yeah. A lot of this has to be player driven. So for me, right? Okay, some of the stuff like I can agree. Like some of it I didn't even think about. Right, the 2v2, 3v3 game modes would probably be a positive if they kept them forever, like as actual queuable modes, because um, it does help with mechanics. It's almost the same as dueling in a way, right? If you just like have a constantly permanent 2v2 queue that's unranked, not being ranked because for some reason when you put metrics behind something like a ranked system, people get more demoralized when they lose because it's actually being measured, right? Like they can actually see how many losses they have versus wins. But if you do it like as an unranked game mode where, someone can do like 2v2s and just queue them without any pressure of like winning or losing, but actually, with the idea of, hey, I'm actually going to try to learn something. Like I want to learn how to play a class. I want to learn how to do this, right? With a friend. Then I feel like those players that will be doing that can actually gain more knowledge than doing like a 5v5. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of getting better, right? Um, in terms of like the toxicity, my thought process was always like they should just turn off the chat for PvP. Like Final Fantasy has it, and I hate comparing games, whatever, but um, they actually remove the ability to type in chat for PvP game modes, so you can't say anything, whatever. You have like hotkeys, so you can say like hello, attack this, heal me, defend that, right? Um,
Yeah.
there's very like generic things you can say, but I feel like it's a lot better, right, than having somebody spam at you and just say like you're crap at the game, right?
Yeah.
Because people will be toxic no matter what, but it removes that, like it kind of softens it in my opinion. Where okay, someone will just spam hello at you, whatever. It's no big deal in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Um, the gear and the cosmetics, dude. I've been promoting and wanting a llama skin mount for the longest time. That's what I've been wanting for like a raptor skin because PvP is very big on llamas for some reason. Like you'll get llama mini pets in PvP. They already have the,
Mm-hmm.
the model for it. They just need to scale that to an actual mount skin and give it to you for like maybe doing 100 PvP ranked matches, right? Um you don't even need to like win them. You just have to participate in like 100 ranked matches and you get like a unique llama skin, right? And they can do that. They can add silver llama skins, gold llama skins. Like they can do so much, right? A bronze llama skin, plat llama skin, right? Um, if it's something that people can actually get without having like a leaderboard where there's only one rank one, right? There's only one rank two. You probably won't have as many people cheating to try to get these because they basically can guarantee get them, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe the ArenaNet team needs to partner with actual PvPers and say like, hey, if you work on this guide, we would love for you to work on a guide, and we'll promote the guide in the actual website and say, hey guys, follow this content creator for PvP information, right? Like follow Kiba. I know Sin Runner is like another PvP, and Valen, right? They're also um like they do have a lot of PvP experience. But if like they were to come to them us and say like, hey, can you write a guide on like Warrior, right? And we'll review it. We just want you to talk about these points, how you can get
Mm-hmm.
better. We'll promote it on the actual website and forum. Okay, like yeah, I would actually do that because that's gonna generate more publicity for me, I guess, as a creator. You know.
I think also, I mean, the thing is, they've done stuff like that before, right? On some guides. Um, I think yes, that kind of brings visibility. First of all, not only to the creator, right, of that game mode, but then also to the game mode. It kind of just gives it a little bit of a spotlight of the week or month or whenever. That I think would definitely, because it goes back to something like right, build it and they will come. You need the awareness part for that, right? If something's in your face a lot more than a lot more, you're gonna remember it, right? So I think that comes with the issue, right? Okay, you get the balance changes for PvP, but yeah, there's no, oh, check out this guide about what things you could do about your keys in PvP, right? Like how to actually take and build your setup, right? Um, what are mistakes that people make? These kind of guides are honestly would go a long way. But you do need the promotion for them. right? Like it has to still come from them, right? Yeah, I mean, you could promote on Reddit or all you want, but um, it needs a little bit of like a backing. Like, hey, you know what? We have a seal of approval. This is a great guide from a content creator, um, talking about some aspect of PvP. That certainly can. Going back to your community events has to be driven by the players. Yeah, I think the most issue that people find is the burnout. Um, from the bigger scale events, I mean, people, I don't think is going to do another PvP tournament at this point, but when he did them, they were very good, high production value, right? In PvP, and they go well. But again, that's catered to the esports hardcore players in PvP, right? The ones who are really, really competitive. They're the ones that were going to show up for those events. And there'll be, of course, qualifiers to get into them, but that aspect is appealing to show players this is what PvP on the top of Guild Wars 2 looks like. Um, then you have community events run more consistently that are on the smaller scale, right? Like the actual, like you said, dual postings, um, smaller tournaments, 2v2s, 3v3s, much less, you could say festivities and that big sort of production value, much more on the lower scale, but still consistent. That also has the burnout is because when you end up getting, let's say, a good turnout for the first, second, and third, and then you find out the fourth or fifth month turnouts are getting smaller, right? The interest certainly is going down. It's just that is always been, I think, one of the problems with PvP. Comparing it to the trainings, of course, you get in raids. I think PvP, um, because the focus is more competitive, you get more events that are run purely on a competitive standpoint than like you could say a training, right? Someone coming in like a mentor, um, like let's say Boyce came in and did a workshop on Ranger. Like literally, the event that he was doing was literally, guys, I'm literally here to showcase Ranger in all three specs. Um, and that was the 3 hour event, right? So any Ranger main that wants to learn how to play Ranger is watching the stream or listening to him on Discord and watching his stream and at the same time looking at the movement, and then you're just having people deal with each other. I think stuff like that doesn't happen enough. You don't have people who actually will, instead of making the event a 1v1 or 2v2 or 3v3 mini tournament, you don't have a workshop session, like workshop session that also will include, all right, guys, I just explained a portion of this. Let me see you guys execute it, right? Like huddle up, right? Go into pairs of two, and practice this one thing. So certainly that kind of stuff would help, right? It's just kind of it's part of the building process, um, and it does require those people to be willing to give their time because it is 3 hours to talk about your class. Maybe not everybody's into that. Maybe someone's like, I'd rather just play the game and give my time for this, and then just while I'm playing the game, just talk about it. So I do feel like that part of the community aspect is missing. In PvP, I've never seen it. In trainings, you see it in raids. Even the content creators who train raids have different styles of how they train. Some of them will explain the raid as they're just doing a training group with them on stream. Some people will decide to do the bosses in phases. They'll explain the mechanics of the boss. They'll do the mechanics. They'll maybe fail or they'll pass it, and then they'll die, and then they'll be like, okay, let's repeat that phase 3-4 times so that you guys can get the hang of it, and then we're gonna move on to the next phase, and then we'll explain. So that you see it a lot in raids. So if that kind of aspect just moved into PvP, that alone I think can also contribute. But it has to, again, like you said, it has to come from the experts.
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I see here was, wouldn't it be good to have a group in ANET that handles the PvP and World v World things so they can work on map skin balances, stuff like that? It would be so nice to have in Guild Wars 2 esports. It's like Wild Rift Gaming. The thing is, they do have a team like that. It's like Roy, CMC. I think Shrig was just involved in it, and Grouch came in for that purpose. They used to have the esports thing. I think personally, my opinion on esports overall is it's a money sink, so it's not really worth putting money into like esports at all for any game really, except for maybe like League of Legends and Counter Strike, like two of the most two of the most survivable games, I guess, in that realm. But I mean, they have a team like that. How much flexibility or freedom they have to actually implement like these changes that we're talking about? Like, if, for example, if Roy was like, "Hey, I do think we should add like these skins," I'm pretty sure there's like a huge procurement process that needs to be done at
Mm.
ArenaNet, and they probably will just be like, "No, it's gonna take too many resources. Like, we don't have the time. Like, we're working on other stuff right now." So, and I think there's a lot of it just seems like there's a lot of red tape to get anything done, like actually completed or even implement that stuff, you know?
Mm.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like in theory, like a lot of it sounds decent, right? Where okay, let's bring in like these community creators, but I think that there has to be a behavioral change in the actual like company to want to do that for the people. Um, like overall, like I think the responses to me were pretty much as kind of what I predicted in terms of what people were looking for, and what the issues were, like what stops them from PvPing, and you know, even for me, I always just felt like maybe just adding like PvP exclusive rewards, um, kind of how they added the World v World infusion, right? That you can only get from doing like the World v World dailies or whatever, or you could buy it too, but you know you don't have to buy it. Um, and maybe one other thing is adding the gift of battle reward track in PvP. Just random thing that I thought of there. Matchmaking and stuff. Obviously, that has to come with bringing more players in. But
I'm gonna ask you a question actually, and while this might seem like a step back, but do you think because of the level of specs there is and the amount of builds you can play in PvP right now, for new players at least, right? It's just a lot of information to play current PvP. Like there's a lot. Like, you have to learn not only your classes, you have to learn what counters your class, and if you really want to go, really, really up, like deep into how you play the content, you also have to memorize animations, cues of, and that is not including the map awareness and just like, okay, you're in a team, knowing whether or not like your team comp is gonna work or not, right? Like just, hey, okay, I'm in this team with this and this. Okay, this isn't gonna work. I need to swap to a class, right? Do you think maybe bringing like a classic PvP mode might be a little bit of a fresh take? Just take it back to pre HOT or just HOT comps, and that mode is purely just that. And I know this is, of course, a much harder thing to do because I don't think they have the infrastructure in place to just have a mode separate for that. Or maybe they do, but I'm sure that requires that. But right, I think something like that, right? Maybe if not done through the game directly itself, but maybe through player-driven um, workshops or tournaments where they're like, okay, guys, we're just doing HOT specs, or we're just doing core builds, and go from there first.
yeah,
Um,
I mean,
because I see this a lot actually. If you see a lot of the Reddit posts, and not that one specifically that you were looking at recently, but even before, like I think I've seen that as always a point that it is just so much information in PvP to learn, and that contributes the fact that it's just too much to go into it, right? There's just, and doesn't matter what effort someone puts into the game now for PvP, right? You have already a certain bar for the top players. Nobody is gonna reach that bar, right? You could be putting in 30 hours a week of PvP. You're just not gonna catch up to that skill level, right? That skill level takes years and years to build up. But if
but
the gap was easier to learn, right? And nobody's, I don't think someone has to be at that top skill level in the game, at least above average, where it's like, okay, well, you know what? I can at least play slightly better against, I'm a bronze player, I can slightly play better with silver players. Um, I'm a silver player, I got queued with plat. I sort of held my ground, right? But just finding a way to bridge that gap a bit easier.
the variety of rewards is definitely important, right? Because I don't think many people actually want to be like, at least for me, my thought was, you don't always get people that want to be, catching up to, let's say, Team USA. The gizmos are nice, but it may not be for everybody, right? And you may not want to put the time and the effort into that. Like, let that be for those who do want to put that time and effort into it. But for the most part, because those only happen like once a month, ranked happens every single day. So the rewards for ranked should be more, I guess, they should be more
Mhm.
universal that anybody could get them. They shouldn't really have titles like they do. Like if they want to make titles, it shouldn't be for like the ranked system. I know they've removed titles before in the past, um, but I think they should maybe do it for like, it may not remove everything, but I mean, if they want to keep titles, they should just add like generic titles for like, okay, top 250 placer, top 10 placer, not like one, two, three, whatever, whatever. But I think the rewards should be more universal for like ranked, because somebody might want to get better and actually like hit a certain goal, but it shouldn't have to do with the fact that like other people are involved, right? Like if I want to hit plat, right? That's as a goal. It doesn't mean that I'm taking that away from someone else. That just means like I'm trying to improve myself, right? I'm not
Yeah.
taking away someone else's ability to be in plat. Um, I think ultimately, like, because we do have like Metabattle for builds, like people don't really use it. Everyone likes to talk crap about it, right? But I mean, these guys put in a lot of effort and work into like writing these out. Like, and if you actually
Mhm.
read, I feel like a lot of people don't read the skills of what they're actually doing.
Mhm.
So they don't know like, okay, what is vulnerability? Like, how does it stack? Okay, it increases like the damage and condition, right, that you're taking. But it actually explains in detail like, what does this healing do? What do these elites do? What do these weapons do? The usage, how to use the skill, like general information. Even sometimes it says like what you're weak against. Like, hey, this build might be weak against certain other builds or certain abilities, right? So they do have this here, and it it removes a lot of the guessing of what you have to do. Like, you don't really have to know every single relic, or yeah, that'll make you better in the long run, but even to get to plat, or even to get to like the top, above average, you really just have to know a little bit of information. The rest
I
of
mean,
it,
rewards definitely. Who doesn't like cool skins and things like that? The funny thing is, PvP is a much more profitable in terms of like the gold that you get from PvP, which you can then spend on other stuff that you want in the game. Actually, pretty decent, right? Like actually playing PvP will get you a lot of gold, which will allow you to actually buy stuff that you want in the game. Um, I think it maybe I think this is just the way it works, right? It's just the gold is one thing, but maybe, and you mentioned this to me before, actually, before I'm not sure even on stream, but it's just the fact that the actual shiny item, not I get gold to go buy the shiny item, but it's the actual shiny item. If that's more there, the player will always go to that, even if that means it's, let's say, there's another reward that has a bit more gold. They'll always pick the shiny item because the shiny item is instant, right? There's instant satisfaction when you get it. Um, what are ways that I think you could see improving the reward system, if not in the because the battle tracks are also similar in World versus World. So if they do a change in PvP, it reflects in WW, which I know would be a bad thing as well. Actually, could be a good thing. But um, do you think stuff like playing X amount of games rewards you like the skin, or if you, for example, eventually make a climb of this amount of wins will actually get you this, and right? Like, how would you distribute these rewards, right? Would you do it in the battle track? Would you do it in the number of games? Would you do it in just how many amount of games that you played, right? Regardless whether win or loss? Um,
so I'll show you real quick. At the end of the season, you get end of season rewards, right?
mhm.
Um, so like the leaderboard titles are the end of season rewards, and top 25, you actually do get an additional reward, which is the PvP champions pass to get up here in the like this area, right? those are cool to give those. I think if you give the rewards for that, you could put it in there for the end of the season, because a lot of the times people like end of the season, or even add like currency that's season specific, right? I know they have Ascended Shards of Glory, and that'd be cool. But I know like other games will give you like PvP tickets for the season that you play, and depending on where you place, like you get a certain amount of tickets, kind of like the Ascended Shards of Glory. I know we have PvP tickets as well, but the idea is that you can use that to buy specific cosmetic skins, like armor skins, right? Right now you can buy armor. I feel like the game is too invested in like actually buying, uh, armor pieces that like have like value of like ascended armor, right? So you could buy ascended armor, but like if I could just do cosmetics that don't have stats, I think that in itself would be nice. More than just like the
Mhm.
obsidian stuff that they did, right? Give me just like generic ass like t-shirts. Like they could even reskin some of the stuff. They could reskin this shirt that I'm wearing over and over again per every season, and I would collect them all, right? Um, why aren't I playing support warrior? I am, kind of. I just have to update it. It's this build here or something. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think with this, I think even
precasted
outfits. I think
Bannerez.
outfits could be a good mix. I mean, you could. The easiest example you could use is literally other competitive games, right? It works, right? Why do games release it? Um, go to Fortnite, go to Overwatch. People will find a way to get that skin if they like it, right? Now, of course, Fortnite, a lot of them go through the store, but there are specific skins you can get in Fortnite or similarly Overwatch. Most games, there are skins you get just purely by playing the game, not through the store directly, right? You actually have to do something in the game, have an achievement or um, get something done, whatever it is. I think I agree with the skins, maybe, right? Armor pieces, not so much. And I'll say this because it is much more difficult for I think Ada to design armor pieces now because of the fact that it's clearly they have to design it for 5 classes, whereas an outfit is just the kind of standard thing. They don't need to worry about clipping issues, um, especially if someone combines or mixes the mix and matches with their armor sets. So yeah, definitely more outfits in that case, and that's probably more realistically what they'd end up doing is outfits, and the pieces would be very very minimal, if not maybe not. Um, Weapons as well, weapon skins, like a set of weapon skins that are tied to some PvP achievements you got to do. So
Yeah, I think skins, not armor pieces, just skins. I'm sure there's like a recycle like amount of skins that they have that they'll be able to adjust there. Um, personally, I just feel like okay, it's probably better to do that. Overall, just adding different skins to the PvP reward track, or not even the reward track, but like the ranked the ranked tracks themselves. So because there's going to be something that somebody wants. I think one of the cool things that they started doing, and I want them to update, is that whole title thing,
mhm.
where they're adding titles to. Let's see. So in PvP, you get like a title for like 250 wins on a character or something, or 150 wins, like champion legionnaire. When I was like playing back in the day, when that before like anybody really had those, like that was the goal, right? To get that title, because that title was like, oh man, this guy like really was a warrior main back in the day. Like, oh, he knows how to play warrior very well. Um, and now like it's obviously diluted. Like that title means absolutely nothing. But if they consistently, which they are doing now, it should have been something done a long time ago, is constantly keep updating it, right? To where 1,000 wins or whatever, 5,000 wins, right? At 5,000 wins, you get like God of Warrior, right? That to me would be worth it, right?
Mhm.
Something like that.
And that probably appeals more to the. I think that's pretty. I don't know. And Galor's won the titles actually meant I felt like a lot more weight in them. And Galor's two, I could see something like that, like a warrior main, or like you said, like a guardian main or whoever. Yeah, like you know what, I want to work towards that. And I think I agree with the way that you want it included is because that also gives, like you said, the chance for a player who maybe isn't super, you know, invested into PvP in terms of the hours, but still is, you know, really loves the game mode and wants to play. It still gives them like an ability to work for it rather than like being shortcutted.
Yeah. No, I agree. So ultimately, I mean, this was really, really like good information to see like what people were talking about. But I think, you know, little changes. I mean, it depends on one thing. Like to summarize, the goal of what it is that we're trying to like that my thought process was isn't trying to revive PvP to where it used to be. It's just trying to have a sustainable amount of players that want to play every season, right? And not continuously decline in players. And the way that I think that can be possible is one like bringing in a little bit of new players, but keeping the old players engaged in the seasons, by keeping all the game modes alive, right? Like they have the queues here that you could play ranked and unranked, right? And then if you want to separate it, you can even like take off the you can take off like conquest if you wanted, right? Unranked preferences, conquest, stronghold. Why can't they add 2v2, 3v3 conquest, right? And that way you can have separate queues like we have here, right? For the unranked preferences. I think that would be something that they can do. Like in the I don't it's a very realistic change. To me that doesn't seem like it's something that is, you know, as impossible as like beta alliances, right? I feel like that's impossible. They need to do that, right? And then on top of that, um they just have to keep players consistently engaged by bringing in small little rewards throughout the season, like maybe a cosmetic. One, they don't have to do like 5 pieces, just one shirt, one tattoo set, one skin. That's it. A season. The seasons last like 3 months, bro. Like, how hard is it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
come up with something every 3 months?
Well, I mean, it is still a lot of, you know, I think for ANET's capacity, they're not able to. I mean, they already I think struggle with balancing skins and things that you can get in the game, not on the jump store, because right, most jump store makes them the most money and it's kind of their money maker, so they kind of have to do stuff there. Yeah, bundles wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, I'd say even you could add some mats to the bundle if you want to be lazy. I think it's yeah, it's gonna have to have something like that, but maybe an outfit, maybe like you said, the title could go with it. Again, I think title is a bit iffy because a title in the game doesn't, it's not the same weight as Guild Wars 1. So I don't know how many people really care about titles in Guild Wars 2, realistically. At least I can't really give an answer to that, but I feel like for me, like it isn't the same. But I do like the fact that yeah, you could introduce, like you said, it's the item. It's the fact that you have this item rather than, oh, I want the gold, right? People always go for the shiny than the actual uh gold amount, because the gold is like, well, okay, even if I have 5 extra gold, and if I take that 5 extra gold, let's say 25 gold reward, but the skin, let's say, is, I mean, the skin is account bound, so it's not like it has a value, but let's just say it had the value of 10 gold or 15 gold, sorry. People probably still go for the 15 gold just because it's like, oh, you know what? It's a shiny skin. I want it. Um, Also, yo, what's up, Jebro? It, okay, so unfortunately, PvP isn't conducive to the atmosphere that goes to area that is trying to foster. The changes need to come in from ANET side in regards to more balance and controlling toxicity. The main reason people
True,
don't
true,
engage in the
true.
mode is that simple. It's the best PvP system in any MMORPG, but it's not system based. It's community based environment. Yeah, I mean, this is actually what Kev and I already uh, more or less have said. Um, it's not conducive to the atmosphere. Sure, yeah, it's not. I would be inclined to say that you'll find this encounter more, but also the community who plays Guild Wars 2 PvP isn't big to begin with. Um, you're more likely to maybe find a bad owl. But you know, I'm not gonna say every single experience in PvP is bad, because again, you could have 4 good standard matches, nothing really happened in those matches, and it'll be that one match that creates that bad negative experience. And you'll remember that more than the other 4 matches where nothing of significance or anything really happened, right? That's it's not gonna be every single experience is gonna be bad. Some people have had good experiences, but again, people tend to relate more to the bad one that happened than the one that nothing really bad happened or anything really happened to begin with. It's just I think that's just comes down to human nature. Um,
No, you're right. So then now, are you gonna PvP or what?
Now am I gonna PvP or
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
I told you, man. For me, it's the time frame, right? Like I already feel like I've given what I have for this game. I'm not at the point where I want to spend 30 hours playing Guild Wars 2. I barely even have 30 hours to play, like period, like any game. So yeah, I know myself. I like PvP in Guild Wars 2. I am more frustrated that I don't have the time to commit to um putting the hours of effort for the game in PvP. Sure, I could do that on stream. I stream three times a week now. I'm kind of streaming 3 times a week. That's around 9 to 12 hours. But that also means that's my 9 to 12 hours a week of game time just lures to PvP, and I just don't have. I don't have in me to just dedicate all that game time to just one game now.
That makes sense. Um,
But that's not right. That's my response to it, right? But majority of the response, like what you got was mostly